We back. Anthony Gallo, P. Kennedy, TIO Al and Friends, minus TIO Al tonight. You know, he's got a big week. Guy's killing it, doing everything, working a million jobs, hosting a million shows. So we are driving the ship today. As always, I'm Anthony Gallo with my guy, Pete Kennedy.
Kennedy, we are here live on the YouTubes, the Twitters, everywhere you can find us. Missing our guy, TIO Al, doing the national radio gig this week. He'll be on Infinity Sports Network 2 to 6 a.m. So he's got to get some snoozies. Because as we've said in weeks past, he is TIO Al, not just because of his loving Uncle Nature, but because he's old.
Yes. I was going to go right to that. He is an old man. You know, we are all washed up at different degrees. You know, Al, me, and Pete, we're all washed up at different degrees. We are not young anymore. You know, it's not, 2010 or even 2000, for Al, where we crush a Mountain Dew and power through the day. But we're here. We got a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, mostly negative stuff surrounding New York and all of sports. But let's get into it. And I mean negative because it is an angsty, very tumultuous time. I don't even know if that was a word for the Knicks. And we get not only the bad weekend we just had, and then a scary night last night against the Sixers. We get news today that Ariel Hawk-Purdy is now out basically for the rest of the year. I feel like it'd be tough to expect him back for the playoffs. And I guess the main question we ask, and I'll let you start here, Pete, are they fraudulent?
The New York Knicks, are they fraudulent? It is the question of the week. I mean, question of the no, it's been basically just a week, right? It's been less than a week since they lost to Cleveland.
For us, it's going to be about a week. For a lot of the fan base, I feel like they've been feeling like this for a while.
That's a good point. And it's a really good question now. To me, I have to first go through the process of what does it mean for the Knicks to be fraudulent? Because it's very important to know what you're talking about when you're talking about fraudulent. Are we talking about, as Nostalgia Nick on YouTube says yes to the question that they are frauds, but are we talking about them frauds as championship contenders, or are we talking about them as frauds as a great team? Those are two different questions, possibly with two different answers. They are not frauds as a great team. They are still great. And Gallo, what pissed me off about the past week has been this overreaction to all of a sudden, because the Knicks can't beat the Celtics and the Cavs, that they're going to lose to the Pistons in the first round. To me, that was asinine from the start.
It's a ridiculous thing.
They are the third best team in the East and a top 5 or 6 team in the entire NBA. If we're talking about championship contenders, are you really a fraud if you were never really a top championship contender? That would be how I answer my question, to ask you a question back to you.
Well, no, I think it's a good question because we're not doing contenders or pretenders. Right. If we're doing pretenders, there's only 3. Honestly, there's only 2 real contenders in the league. Like the Thunder and the Celtics. I'm sorry. The Cavs have to show us in the postseason. We cannot say that all of a sudden they've earned the right to be put in that contenders category where they've struggled more than the Knicks have, this group of Knicks players have in the postseason. And also, because, shout out to Nostalgia Nick, huge fan, of the show, but who's been very negative about this team. The thought that they're going to go into the first round, lose to a Pistons team that's never played in the postseason, or lose to the Magic, who have they won a playoff series yet? Because I don't think they have. I might be wrong about that. It's an overreaction in that sense. I never thought that. Oh, that's Al's music. Oh my God. I think the old comments got him. I think that's what put him over the top.
No, I didn't see anything, man. I've just been tired, man. I wasn't even at the hotel the last 2 days. I'm just shot, man. It's been a crazy up and down 2 weeks. So I'm just tired, man. And let me tell you right now, shout out to you guys for holding it down in the beginning. I'm probably just gonna dip in a little to get some more sleep. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. But National is it's different. It's different, man. You got to do a lot more talking than on Fan. The phones don't really go like Fan. And it's a lot of heavy lifting in terms of football. I know people make jokes, from Fan, like, oh, nobody watch. I remember when Craig used to say, oh, nobody watches National, nobody listens. I remember Craig did it all the time, but it's different, man. So yeah, I felt, and I'm being honest, I'm always gonna keep it a buck. I felt I felt really, really nervous and shaken. But as time went on, and like when I talked about Paul George doing quitting his podcast, I really got into that, and Luka the Hookah stuff. I really got into that, and the football stuff. I really got into that stuff, and but I should be better tonight at 2 a.m. this morning. I should say on the Infinity Sports Network. I said the wrong phone number a couple of times. I said I didn't know how to come in and out. Yeah, I'm like, yo, you're on. Like I'll be like, hey, Gallo, you're on. Instead of Gallo, you're on the Infinity Sports Network, because I'm used to saying you're on the Fan, so I didn't want to keep saying the wrong thing. So it's different.
I got a funny story. I used to work with the great Jody Mack.
Shout out Jody Mack.
Yeah. I'm sure most of you know I guess the younger audience might not know, but Jody's worked so many jobs: WIP, WFAN, CBS Sports, ESPN, ESPN Sports. I loved working with him. He's a great job. He would give out the wrong number once a show,
constantly.
And we would take bets on which number he was going to give out.
The Philly number.
Yeah. ESPN, CBS Sports, WFN. So don't take it to heart, dude. You're a hard worker, and you're killing it, dude. And you know what? They had to go get, some Washington Commanders love on the network, and I
didn't even talk about it. No, I didn't even. I didn't even talk Washington Commanders. I didn't even get into it. So I'm going to get into that this tomorrow morning, because I'm tired of people saying that the Commanders. If the Commanders did it, we can do it. So I have to dive into that. I'm going to troll the Cowboy fans because I haven't done that. This is my shot to do that, because you can do that more on the network. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I got into the tush push stuff, so I had fans calling in. Oh, don't ban the tush push. What's next? Going to ban Tyreek Hill because he's fast. And just some other things. But I was like, the tush push is not a natural football play. It's not exciting. 4th and 1, I look forward to these group of fat guys versus this group of fat guys, and bam, they go at it to get the 1 yard it's not real football. That was my point. But it is what it is. But I just want to say, if whoever's doing national, you guys get a lot of shit. I'm giving you your flowers. It's definitely different than Fan. I know everybody says Fan's the ultimate, but national. It's the good thing about it. You can pick whatever you want. You have to be strong on everything football. And I'm good with football. I don't know everybody's GM and head coach, and I don't know everybody like that. Yeah, I don't. Except, there's certain people that do, because I just don't. Especially when you have another full-time job, it's really, really difficult. But and shout out to Pete for holding me down as well, for guiding me, Pipilotti. But I will for sure be much better later on this morning, knowing, okay, I did it once and I'll do it. Let's go. I got a list of shit to do, so I'll be better tomorrow morning.
Well, you guys should definitely follow Al, and Al, tweet out the number later, and we'll get some of these people in there.
Yeah.
85. Let me see if I get this right this time.
Come on, practice. Get the practice in.
855-212-4227.
Congrats to your cocks.
Yeah, Gallo, I bet you did not think I had a Jody Mack drop for you.
I'm gonna laugh every time. That's insane, dude.
Oh, so what'd you guys talk about? What was the start?
We were just getting into the Knicks, and that's really where we were at right now. Are they frauds or are they not? And basically what I was saying was, we were talking about pretenders and contenders, and yes, you could say that they're pretenders, but I don't think that makes them frauds. And I also think that the overreaction that them not being able to beat the Celtics and the Cavs and the Thunder is somehow a notion they're going to lose to the Magic or the Pistons in the first round is honestly comical, because
stop that. Yeah.
Like, and the way people talk about the not the Cavs, the Pistons and the Magic with the Knicks don't really struggle with those teams. They lost to the Pistons, yes, but they also only lost to the Magics once, and we forget the fact that they dominated in the other games. And when I look at it, the only team that's not the Cavs or the Celtics in the East that scares me is the Bulls, and thankfully they won't have to worry about that. But seriously though, I'm not going to call them frauds because they're the third best team in the East. Because I can tell you this, the Celtics were the first best team in the East for a long time and did not win a title until last year. So all it takes, those Miami Heat teams were great. All it takes is an injury to one star player, and it changes the complete complexion of the playoffs. Now, we can't bank on that, but I do think it's been disappointing from the Knicks. I will say that. I'm not saying that the losses weren't expected, but the way they've lost has been disappointing. The lack of urgency, the lack of importance from some guys on the team, and it just the only time they've made runs in that Celtics game was when they sat their starters. And that can't be the only time when your starters are in that you guys excel. So I would say it's disappointing. I don't think they're frauds. I would say they're pretenders if you want to get technical.
Well, Pete, can you pull up, because I don't know, you have your laptop or computer open in front of you. New York Post on Instagram, if you can pull it up, posted the Knicks numbers versus the top teams in the league. It's on Instagram. I screenshotted them. I'm going to talk about it later nationally and on Fan Saturday, which I'll be on after the Nets game. And I'm on twice next week in a Fan, weekday and a weekend. But we get into that later. And Gallo, you're on after me again next weekend.
I think both, this weekend and next weekend.
All right, cool. Yeah, so the only thing disappointing about the Knicks versus those teams to me individually is OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. Go look at their numbers. They've done jack shit. Bridges is averaging 14, and Anunoby's averaging 9. Rebounding, they're not helping out. They've been destroyed because their third and fourth best players have done jack shit against the elite teams. It can't be Brunson and Towns doing everything. Now, maybe because OG and Bridges are sagging defensively because Brunson and Cat can't play the pick and roll and play no defense. So Mitch coming back this weekend is going to be a beautiful thing because Mitch is great against those things, and he protects against the rim, and these guys are not going to have to sag anymore to help bail the other two guys out. So that's let's see how this Knicks team does. They play Memphis tomorrow. I don't know if Towns is going to play. The only way this team's going to be judged, and I'm going to judge this team 100%. There it is. I'm going to judge against this Knicks team is when they're fully healthy, what they do. And then that's going to decide what Leon Rose's next moves are going to be in the offseason.
I would like to push back on one thing, though.
All right.
I do think that their jobs right now are not to help out in scoring to the extent that that's why we're losing. I think the biggest thing is, and Nick fancied to stop with the Mikal Bridges hate. I don't give a crap about 5 bottom 10 picks in the draft. I don't. I really don't.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
The thing is with Bridges and OG, they are far and wide 2 top 10 defenders in the league. The reason why they get cooked is because 1, they cover the best guys every night. And 2, they're the only 2 guys on the court at times who can play defense. And it's not even really Brunson because he's not a great defender, even with the effort. But Towns leaves them completely vulnerable on the baseline, keeps them completely vulnerable on anything that's not in front of him. The one thing that Mitch did is Mitch is able to cover the baseline without having to stare at a guy that's coming at him. And I do think that kills OG and Bridges. So I think the defense is where they're dying. It's not necessarily the offense. And it's not Brunson I'm looking to right now. Like at some point, Towns wants to be this big guy and he's on the MVP ladder. He also has to come up and say, I can't lose this game and be like the rest of the guys in the league because we've seen Brunson do it. Towns has got to do it too.
All right, let me push back on this one. Sorry, Pete. This is Jalen Brunson. I'm sick of seeing him going under screens. How about fighting through the fucking screens? I'm sick of it. The Boston Celtics scored 75 points on wide open shots. Everyone is responsible for that. That is fucking ridiculous, especially when you know that all they do is chuck up threes for the most part. That's their game. When they're hitting, forget it. They can't be beaten. No one's beating them. Look at opening night. They shot like a 90% from 3. Nobody was beating them. I want the effort. You can't be going under screens. Bridges, too. He's going under screens. You can't go under screens against elite shooting 3-point teams. Then it's have the worst 3-point shooting, the worst 3-point defense in the league. You can't have that. Now you say you don't want to blame OG and Bridges offensively, but they have to show up. They have to put up points. If Brunson is off, guess what? And the other 2 are not doing anything. We're cooked. We got no shot.
There's a few things that I've been thinking of when you guys are going through this. And the first thing with the defense, I've been saying it all year long. The math of the defense really checks out to me. And it's not that they're a bad 3-point defense team. They are. Let me say this. They are a bad 3-point defense team, but it's not because they're bad at perimeter defense. They're actually bad at 3-point defense because they have no interior defense. So Mikal, OG, Josh Hart, even Brunson, they're always trying to get into the lane to help out in the lane, to swipe for steals, to help Cat on protecting the rim, to help even Huck Purdy or Sims earlier in the year. Their bad 3-point defense is a direct correlation, in my opinion, to the bad rim protection. And that's why if Mitch comes back and can play 24 minutes a game, we're not going to expect him to play 38 like Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges do. That math completely changes. And this good defense that we've seen the Knicks have with Isaiah Hartenstein, with Mitchell Robinson, over the past couple of years, it helps all across the board. It's just like when we talk about the gravity of Steph Curry, right? He helps guys get open cutting lanes. He helps guys get open shots. A good rim protector helps your perimeter defense because you don't have to sell out like a psychopath to help protect the rim and help save Cat's ass, which is why Cat's best success was last year next to a 4-time defensive player of the year in Rudy Gobert, as much as we crap on the guy. So the Mitch factor, some non-Knicks fans and some Knicks fans alike are crapping on this idea that a lot of Knicks fans are saying, oh, Mitch is going to come back and change everything. He's not going to change everything, but he's going to change one really important thing, and that is how the whole entire defense operates when he's out on the floor.
The other thing also he's going to change is the Knicks' lack of second, third, fourth chance opportunities on the offensive end as well.
Hell yeah.
I'm sick of seeing whether whoever it is on the Knicks come down the court, one and done, and then the other team comes down or nobody gets back on defense and bam, open layup. And also, like you said, the rim protection is key, and defensive rebound. Mitch is one of the best rebounders in the game, especially when he's healthy. So the Knicks are going to clearly get the help they need from Mitchell Robinson. I just need him to stay healthy, and like you said, the key is the numbers, minutes. 20 to 24 minutes is perfect for me. Just stay the fuck out of foul trouble, Mitch.
Yeah, and it's honestly a good point by both of you, the under the screen stuff and like Pete saying that it is the interior defense. When you watch that Cavs game specifically in the first quarter, how many times did one of their guys, specifically Mobley or Allen, just have no one around them in the paint? And that shouldn't be the case. And then the second the Knicks overcorrected is they went in there and completely left themselves vulnerable on the arc. Now, is that confirmed? Because I heard it was either tomorrow or Sunday he's back.
I think it's that he is
questionable
for tomorrow, which is the closest to playing that he could be. But now with Huck Purdy out, maybe he will get a little bit pushed to play tomorrow's game. Right. I'll double check Twitter though.
And also, this guy, like I said, Towns is questionable, and so is Hart.
Well,
Hart is definitely questionable.
Yeah,
and I think that's the Knicks telling him, like, you probably shouldn't play, dude, because he seems like he's going to play. Whether he shouldn't have finished the series against the Pacers.
He needs to be saved from himself in a way.
Yeah. Who they playing Sunday?
The Heat.
The
Heat.
See,
I don't want nobody to play, and I want to beat that fucking team.
Yeah.
I want Memphis. Memphis is a top team, and I want the Knicks to put this notion to bed that they can't hang with the top team. So I would love to have the guys against Memphis just to shut that bullshit up for a little bit.
Well, that's the other thing is I didn't mean to cut you off, Pete.
You're good.
They've beaten good teams. They just haven't beaten the Thunder, Cavs, or Celtics. I'm pretty sure they blew out the Grizzlies the first time they played.
Yeah, they did.
They've beaten the Rockets. They've handled the Nuggets like 4 straight times. Like they've dealt with they own the Bucks right now, which is insane. Because coming into last year, I was like, that's the team that scares me most. So like they've beaten a lot of these good teams. They just haven't beaten the 3 best teams. And last night, I went to the Nets Thunder game because the tickets were so cheap. I wanted to see them. I wanted to see SGA. They struggled with the Nets, and I'm sitting here. I was like, the Knicks can't do this. Like,
you know why? They had those insomnia cookies, and they hit up the smoke shops right there on Atlantic Avenue. That's exactly what happened, bro. That's exactly what happened.
I don't do insomnia cookie. I do love the ice cream sandwiches are fire.
That's exactly what happened.
Pete, you were gonna make a point. I cut you off. My fault.
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question about Mikal Bridges. So, Gallo, you kind of mentioned before that you're not particularly concerned with his offensive output, but I want to ask you, when you're watching him, if you are going to pick a nit or maybe just make a criticism in general, is there something that you are looking for him more so from an offensive perspective? Because I do have some numbers here that are quite interesting as to how successful the Knicks are when he scores.
I do. I need him to be more aggressive. Stop being afraid to take bumps because you're damn. Maybe it's because he's trying to protect his streak. I don't give a fuck about that streak. Go be aggressive. Brunson could use a breather. Cat could use a breather. Man up, grab the ball, be an alpha at times on the offensive end, and go get yours. When he did it yesterday, he was phenomenal yesterday. I need that in the first quarter. I need that, Bridges, so that when come late in the games, Towns has more gas in the tank. Brunson has more gas in the tank.
Yeah, I actually think my issues with Bridges, and again, I have no issue with his defense. It's something that what Al said is he does tend to not fight through the screens hard enough, but I also don't know if that's just, we've seen him when he puts the effort in, like be able to lock down guys. The one thing I will say also is with him, OG, and Miles McBride, like when you look at their defensive numbers in a vacuum, they're always going to look worse because it's like,
for sure.
What's his name? Brian Russell, like one of the great, Bruce Bowen is a better example. If you looked at his in a vacuum defensive numbers against players, he looks like they're awful because he's covering the best guy every night. I would say, honestly, my same issue offensively with Bridges is something I can say for everyone but Brunson is they don't look to attack and they also don't look to shoot the ball. Like we've talked about this before. Teams are hitting threes and they're trying to knock down mid-range shots. And it's like, it sucks. It's today's NBA, but you got to match a 3 for a 3. And it's not like OG, Bridges, and, a Miles McBride or a Cat are not capable of shooting the 3 ball.
So you're saying you can match, sorry, Pete, so don't kill me. You said you got to match a 3 for a 3. The counter to that is Bridges, you can be aggressive, taking the ball to the basket and get the unconventional 3-point play. Or the conventional 3-point play, I should say.
He never gets to the free throw line, right? That's one of the.
That's another problem, especially against elite teams. It's horrible.
So my numbers to say what Mikal Bridges, in my opinion, should be doing on the court, which is being way more aggressive on offense. The Knicks are 14-3 when he scores over 20 points. So 17 times he scored 21 points or higher, and the Knicks are 14-3 in those games, which to me. It goes to the whole math of the offense, and I'm bringing up a lot of math here, but he's not going to be able to get 18, 19 shots a game. That's what Brunson averages. That's what Cat averages. But he's not going to average that per se, but he has to have the mindset of taking 18 shots a game. Whether it's Tibbs, whether it's Brunson and Hart and Cat, somebody's got to get in his ear and say, dude, stop acting like you're the 4th or 5th option. Act like you're the 2nd. Technically, you're the 3rd. But act like you're the 2nd, because if you are aggressive, it opens up so much to this team. Like his ability to shoot the ball quick off a catch or off the bounce is really good. And his numbers are getting better on the percentage front. And it proves out to me when you watch them. To me, when I watch the Knicks offense and I think of like the peak version of the Knicks offense this year, it's really when Brunson's not scoring, right? Like they're at their peak offensively to me when the ball is popping around, when you're finding cutters, when Cat's hitting threes, when Mikal's hitting threes and driving to the rim, when Hart's making crazy good cuts, and Brunson is really just the floor to me. Like his offense is so consistent and so good. I'm not taking anything away from him, but his offense is the floor. Their ceiling is everybody eating. And if Mikal Bridges doesn't have the mindset of attacking, then everyone's not eating because he's not even taking something off the dish. Like he's so afraid to take the last piece of chicken off the dish on a family style restaurant.
I'll take it.
He's letting other people, get up shots that he would be better at. And that's what's frustrating to me when watching him.
And also, you can't have 2 guys on the floor not aggressive. Like OG's not aggressive. Bridges is not aggressive. And if Brunson's off or Cat's in foul trouble, we're in trouble. We're not beating anybody. I don't care what we do defensively. We're not beating anyone.
I will say to Pete's point also, my thing is with OG is I don't want him to be a player that he isn't. So he does need to be more aggressive or less timid. I guess
pick your spots.
Pick your spots. The one thing I will say is Bridges is not this guy. Like he should be more aggressive. We've seen him be more aggressive. We've seen him be more aggressive on championship level teams when he was with the Suns. So he needs to be more aggressive. For OG, he does need to pick his spots. We've seen it at times where he'll be red hot and go for everything. And then there's times where he defers too much. I think he should be emulating a lot, not the same style of scoring, but he should be emulating a lot what Josh Hart does. Josh Hart's really always aggressive. He's just not trying to score 30 points a game, but he's never shy about going to the rack or taking a shot when he's wide open. Sometimes with OG, I don't think he's like that. And then with Bridges, like you guys said, he'll be red hot in the first quarter and then he won't get back to it. Christmas Day was the only time I saw like him really want to get after it, and he wasn't forcing shots. He was just getting after it, taking what the defense was giving him, playing complimentary basketball to his teammates, and doing it at an aggressive level.
Yeah, at some point you need to stop playing ultra team style basketball for Mikal Bridges, right? You have guys like a Brunson who you do want to always be that point guard who incorporates the team, but Brunson sometimes it's infuriating that he's always just looking to make the right play. Sometimes you got to take a tough shot, dude. Like, that's what it comes down to. When you watch the best teams in the league, you're watching guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think he's the perfect example. Mikal Bridges is a way better shooter than him. He's a better overall basketball talent than him. But you watch Nickeil Alexander-Walker check in for the Timberwolves, and dude is ripping threes. Like, this guy is no fear, and sometimes it drives you nuts, right? Like, but you need that. When he's not your main guy, you need somebody to come in with confidence. I mean, that's why the Knicks fans love J.R. Smith so much. He carried himself like he was the number one option at all times, no matter what. And yeah, of course, every once in a while that drives you a little bit nuts. But when you get it to the other side, on the other opposite end of the spectrum, it could be a little frustrating. And I think all Knicks fans, with the 5 picks crap aside, like, they just want to see this guy assert himself as a true star level player.
That's all I want from him. That's it. I don't need him to go out there and score 30, 35 points a night. I need you to be aggressive, because there's going to be times Brunson's going to get in foul trouble because he always got his hand in the cookie jar reaching. And we're going to need you. And the best way to do that is let Bridges start the second quarters every time. Let him through the first quarter, sit him out. Second quarter, let him come in with the second team, and then he's the main option. And even with OG, those two together, first and second options, then you'll see them start to be more aggressive. Let it get into the habit. So come playoff time, it's second nature. That's it.
Yeah, and it's a good point. Why can't Bridges play? He has to be better than this guy offensively, but why can't he play like a Lou Dort? Like, be out there and be a defensive stopper, and also not be, a liability offensively. He obviously has to be a more efficient offensive player than Lou Dort, but, like, I watch a guy like that, like Derek White is one of the best glue guys in the game. I was, or you know what? Perfect example. Why can't he play like Josh Hart? Like, in the sense that Josh Hart does all the dirty things, and Bridges is a more skilled player than Josh Hart, so it would take less of an effort for him to do this. So it is a tough place to be. And another thing too, I said this on my show on Sunday, the fact that, I'm not saying he's a superstar, but the fact that it feels like Mitchell Robinson is the savior is a terrible place to be for the Knicks.
Well, I also think that it makes Mitch feel loved, because he, during the offseason, he was saying, he was putting those subtweets out and subliminal Instagram posts, like, hey, the truth will come out. They don't know, whatever the stuff he was putting out. But this makes him feel loved and wanted. And I think this welcoming back Mitch into the fold, like this, especially the fans, because they've killed him. They've killed him. But lately they've been showing him love because of what's going on with this Knicks team. So I think if this doesn't motivate Mitchell Robinson to give us the best Mitchell Robinson, his ass is not going to be here next season.
And if you're seeing it on YouTube right now on the screen, I have a graphic up that I had incorrect at first. Somehow the Nets got mixed into that bunch. But right now I have on StatMuse the Knicks record this season versus the Bucks, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Timberwolves, and Rockets. And the Knicks are 7-2 against those teams. So back to this idea of, are the Knicks frauds? They're not frauds. All the other teams in the Knicks category, who have always been in the Knicks category, the Bucks, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Timberwolves, and Rockets, the Knicks are crushing them. The Knicks are dominating those teams. So this idea that all of a sudden this team's not good, this team's a fraud, this team can't do this, I'm not buying into that. And I also got to be honest here too. I love that I heard Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart bring this up on their podcast. We all joke about podcast P, Paul George over there.
Oh, they know.
Who knows what about on his podcast, the clips about guys talking about the yesteryear. Brunson and Hart were like, yo, let's talk about this. We have sucked against the best 3 teams in the league. What's up? And they're like, well, this could be humbling, and this could come out to be something positive for us because we know what we have to do. We know we can play with them. We know we have the personnel. And to me, as a fan, like, I love hearing that. These are guys who care. These are guys who know exactly what they're trying to accomplish and know what they haven't done to do so yet.
Yeah.
Pete, thanks for that stat, Pete. You said Knicks, Bucks, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Grizzlies, 7-2. I stole that one. Thank you so much for that one.
Yes, sir. I got you right there.
Thank you.
And it's a good point too, because, not for nothing, like, the Nuggets, I think, are a legit NBA contender. Like, we also are, I think the Thunder are the best team in the league. We also still need the Thunder to get it done in the postseason and prove it to us they can do that. And if Jamal Murray plays well, like, that's a team that, could very well knock them off. So why can't this be the case in the Eastern Conference? It might not be the Knicks that knock the Celtics off. It might be the Cavs, but, there's a lot of outliers when it comes to this. And it's tough for me also to sit here and say, like, this season's over. Like, there's no way this is, because how many times have we seen in the NBA, everyone's like, this team's going to win, and then they're not even in the finals.
The other thing I will say when it comes to this Knicks team, this is year one of all these guys together, and they haven't really been together as a whole. The Boston Celtics had to change a lot of parts before they finally got it right. So the only difference between the Knicks and the Celtics, and it's a big difference though, is age. Tatum is young, still young. Brown is young. Porzingis is young. That's the difference between the Knicks. Brunson's older. I believe Hart is older. That's the only difference. That's a huge difference, though. Cat's a little older, right?
28. No,
yeah, and
20,
Porzingis
27. I'll look it up.
and Porzingis is, I think, younger than Cat because I think
29.
Porzingis 29.
Yeah.
I'll say he's older.
Cat's also.
All right,
29.
so it's Tatum and Brown that are the young, and those are their first two options compared to the Knicks' two options who are older.
Their window's not closing. Like, it's not happening right now. Like, it's not closed. Also, it took the Celtics time to find the right mix of role players. Like, it takes a lot of these guys time to figure it out. And I also don't think Leon Rose is just going to run it back the next 3 years with just this roster. I don't think it's going to happen. And the other thing I want to mention, too, is I'm so sick of hearing about Isaiah Hartenstein. If Isaiah Hartenstein was on the Knicks right now, their defensive deficiencies would still be the same thing. Isaiah Hartenstein was a great offensive player, okay defensive player. The difference between this Knicks team and the last 2 years is Mitchell Robinson. Like, we don't have Mitchell Robinson, and it's tough to sit here and act like he's a savior, but it does matter. His defensive numbers when he's on the court are elite. Like, he does one thing really well. He plays great defense. He's an okay rebounder. He's
the best one of the best offensive rebounds in the game, Gallo. He's one of the best.
Right, at times he has, but he's also like, it's not like last year he was out rebounding guys on the offensive end. Like, his whole thing was defense and defensive rebounding. My thing is, though, the biggest issue with the Knicks right now is their defense, to what you guys both say, also their defense in the interior, and that's what he brings you. Like, I'm just so sick of this. Not like, if they had iHeart right now, you guys would be running iHeart out of town. That's what would be happening. Like, Knicks fans, this is how you operate. That's what you would be doing. I watched Isaiah Hartenstein get put in a blender by De'Aaron Sharp last night. Like, he got put in a blender by Miles Turner. We get it. He's light skinned or white, whichever one it is. So a lot of white dudes.
Bright skin.
He's bright skin. A lot of white dudes like to think that he's the savior. Like, I'm sorry, that's the only case right now, because him and Mitch are identical on opposite ends. Mitch, great defensive piece. iHeart, great offensive piece. So just end that narrative, please, for my sake. I'm sick of hearing about it. Not that DiVincenzo barely sees the court. So again, another one. This team is better than last year, but that doesn't make them a contender right now. And that's okay. Like Al said, it's year one with this core group together that didn't even get a training camp together because they acquired Cat like a week before the season.
Yeah, the other thing I will say about this Knicks fan base, which has become just as bad as Mets Twitter. I never thought I'd say that, but it's become just as bad as Mets Twitter. I mean, these people are literally, I don't know who you follow. They literally want to fight each other and meet somewhere to fight. It's great. It is the stuff. I'm not going to call people's Twitter handles. They know who they are. They want to meet and fight, which is crazy. You don't hear anybody complain about RJ Barrett anymore, right? Like, the Knicks fans were on that trip for a while too. I don't hear anything about RJ Barrett anymore to the Knicks.
Well,
crickets.
I don't want to shout. I love this guy, but I saw Tommy Beer post something about how he'd take right now RJ Barrett over Darius Garland and Tyler Hero.
God.
And I was like, dude, I love RJ. Darius Garland is the second best player, maybe the second best player on the team with the best record in the East, and Tyler Hero's having a renaissance.
The only thing about Darius Garland, we talked about these teams, he's got to get it done in the playoffs. The Cavs, they can have the greatest regular season in the world. Until they get it done in the playoffs, I don't believe in them. They have like legit, forget the first round, whoever they're playing. They had to see them beat elite teams. Knicks too, but the Knicks have gone to 6-7 games. The Cavs have gotten whitewashed.
And one key piece here, Jalen Brunson, forget, Luka got hurt in that series against the Jazz, and Brunson carried them over Donovan Mitchell and had an amazing postseason that we just acted like, a lot of people acted like he just came out of nowhere. No, he just had a great postseason before the Knicks signed him, and then the next year won another postseason series against him. So that's also a major factor in this.
Pete, let me ask you this. Right now, end of February, where do you think the Knicks finish when it's all said and done?
if the Knicks play the Celtics in the second round, they're out. I really do believe that. I do believe that it's going to be more competitive than people believe it to be. But I don't think they're going to beat the Celtics. And I think that's okay to think that because that's what it's always been. Like from day one of this season, the Celtics were the big bad dog on top of the Eastern Conference, and you'd have to beat them to get there. Has my confidence dwindled in their ability to beat the Knicks? I'm sorry, to beat the Celtics? A little bit. It has. I'm gonna be honest here because I think the Celtics are that freaking talented and that good and that well-oiled of a machine. But if they go down in a real fight with the Celtics, I'm not gonna walk down with my head down. My head will be held high. If they get the Cavs in round 2, that series is going 7. Like they could beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they will not be favored in that series, nor should they be. And that's my big point here. Going into the season, no one saw the Cavs being this good, right? We thought they'd be good. We thought they'd be very similar to the Knicks. But until it happens in the playoffs, they are the same as the Knicks. So they'll be slightly favored or maybe decently heavily favored. I don't really know yet. But the Knicks can beat the Cavs. So if that's the way the bracket crumbles, they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But unfortunately, I don't think anyone's beating the Celtics right now. And I include the Oklahoma City Thunder in that category. So no, I don't think they're beating the Celtics, but I do think they're still a Eastern Conference Final hopeful, which is what they've always been if you were going to see Boston in round 2.
How many games to Boston?
My gut and brain says 5. My heart says 6.
Gallo?
I say 5. 5 games.
Yeah.
I said 6. I said 6 because they're winning 2 games at the 1 game at the Garden. Well, it will be 3-4 at the Garden and still 1 in Boston. The Knicks will play 6. I think all the shit talk that's gone on from they can't beat Boston. Pride at some point has to kick in. And the Celtics, they're not going to knock down 3-pointers all 6 games in a row. I mean, if they do that, forget it. Knicks again swept. But I say 6 games.
And I think with that being said, what was the big talking point when OG Anunoby got traded for and then re-signed and then Mikal was traded for and then Cat, et cetera? Everyone says, oh, they're building this team to beat Boston. I get that. However, Boston is just better at more spots. Tatum's better than whatever wing is next to him. Brown is better than whatever wing is next to him. That's off rip. Jalen Brunson is the only person who clears his counterpart. And that's not by much because of the skill set that Derek White and Drew Holiday have and what they add to that team. From like an additive perspective, they're so additive. So yeah, the Celtics are just flat out better across the board. And if you're talking Porzingis versus Cat, yeah, of course, Cat's a better engine of an offense. He's a better overall scorer. But in the context of what the Celtics need, because Tatum and Brown are so much better than OG and Mikal overall, Porzingis is perfect for that team. And then Peyton Pritchard, if we're being real, is kind of like he's like the slight step of Deuce McBride offensively.
Fucking hate that guy.
Yeah, he crushes us until I bet on him to hit 3 threes against the Knicks, and he only hit 1. Screw him too. I agree. But like he's the better offensive version of Miles McBride. So this dude comes in off the bench, and all of a sudden you're looking at a Celtics box score. Oh shoot, they won by 20, and Tatum had 18, and Brown had 19. How they win by? Peyton Pritchard has 30, right? Like the Knicks don't have a Peyton Pritchard right now who's dropping 30, with relative consistency. Like not that he's doing it all the time, but I think you get what I'm saying. And that build that they have with the defense they have, it's just on a different level. So maybe the Knicks are built to beat the Celtics, but right now they're the Walmart Celtics, if anything.
So what's the alternative? Like, what's the answer? What can the Knicks do this offseason? Options, realistic options to try to dethrone the Boston Celtics early. If you look into next season early right now,
you pull a Joel Embiid and you drag Jaylen Brown from his legs under the free throw line, and you just hope he gets hurt. That's it.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, obviously.
I mean, realistically, they have to fill the end of the bench with good draft picks, and there is a guy out there that I really like, and he's killed the Knicks before. I think he's more reliable than Mitch because of availability, and he's just as good defensively. I think Clint Capella, if they can find a way, if Mitch ends up being not the solution, they can find a way to, because it's the only way they're going to get better unless they make a crazy trade that I can't think of right now. But they find a way to move out from Mitch's cap hit. They're going to probably pay Clint Capella a little less or about what Mitch is getting paid now. So there is an ability to swing that even if it was in a sign and trade with the Hawks where they give up a couple of seconds and Mitch goes to the Hawks with an expiring deal, and that's how they bring in a guy. Otherwise, I don't really have the answer there. Also, before we forget, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow, as always. But yeah, I don't really have I have to see them finish the year before I really can understand what exactly needs to be done to fix this. Because like you guys said, if they get to the postseason and everything changes, then this conversation was all for naught.
I think I have two guys. One, and they're the favorites to land him in the offseason, and that's Giannis. That's if the window is now with these guys, that's it. And the second guy, they tried to swing a move for him, but he's tough to deal with as a GM because he's always going to try to fleece you. That's Walker Kessler. That guy can put up 20, 10. He plays elite defense. He's a rebounding machine. That's the other answer. And I'm sure this guy's contract being expiring contract, Mitchell Robinson, would be more attractive to Danny Ainge this offseason.
I do think those are the two paths. You either swing for the absolute stars with a Giannis out there, or you have to just shore up that center position. I think Cat is such a good shooter, and the rest of the Knicks can shoot so well that you don't need a center to stretch the floor. You saw the blueprint in Minnesota. They were right there. They belonged exactly where they got. They could have beaten Dallas, frankly. They just didn't play their best series. They kind of blew their load against Denver. But if you can add that true rim protector next to Karl-Anthony Towns, I think that's the missing ticket. And then again, you slide Josh Hart to the bench, and all of a sudden that bench unit is scary. And that's where the Knicks last year, you saw them over and over again. Their bench was crushing people too. And now it feels like, oh, Tibbs won't even give the bench a chance to crush people. Sometimes they come in and actually dominate. Like Cam Payne comes in and goes bazooka and drops 8 points in 2 minutes. It's like, yes. Can we get more of this pace? Can we get more of this style of play? And then no, Brunson's back in. Let's slow down. Everybody chill. But in that regard, I do think that third quarter against Boston was really important because I think the Knicks said they looked around. They were down by 20 and they looked at each other and said, fuck it, we ball. Straight up. And what did they do? They got within 4. Yeah, of course, they fell short and still lost by freaking 15 or whatever it was. But they looked around and said, we can't pitter patter through this game. We can't pretend that this style of deliberate basketball that we are good at, that has led to one of the best offenses in the league, is going to work in this setting. Our defense isn't good enough to give that style of offense a chance. So they are going to say the next time they play the Cavs or the Celtics, which is happening again, they got the Celtics twice more this season. They got the Cavs another time this season. They are going to say earlier in the game, fuck it, we ball. And they need to do so. They need to go out there with nothing to lose because they played like a team in the first quarter of all these games they lost with a lot to lose. And they can't afford to play like that.
And no energy out the gates. It's embarrassing. You can't come out against the elite teams and look like you don't give a shit. That's the part that bothered me. Out of all that stuff, forget the final result. You can't come out half-assing. That's the way it looked, the effort, and you're down 20 at the end of the first quarter. You can't have that.
Right. We've said this all season long. My biggest thing is just the lack of urgency at times from this team. It's not talent. It's not the effort the rest of the game. It's just that lack of urgency to realize the first quarter matters. We always put an importance on every quarter, but to be honest, they all matter equally, at the end of the day, because you could put yourself in a hole in the first quarter, or you could choke away a game in the fourth quarter. Yes, crunch time is the fourth quarter, but at the end of the day, when you're really looking at everything, it all matters. And they don't have that urgency. And I don't think it's a Brunson thing. I don't think it's a Josh Hart thing. Even a Miles McBride. I do think guys like Bridges, OG, Mitch, they don't really play anyone else in the first quarter. I do think, not Mitch, Cat, I meant. These guys don't have that urgency when they step on the court from tip-off where, I watched Josh Hart and he looks like he shot out of a cannon the entire game.
Right. And you watch other teams. I think it's important sometimes to watch other teams. And I've been so weirdly used to watching the Knicks this season and seeing that starting lineup play almost the entire first quarter, like you mentioned, Gallo. Other teams don't do that. Yeah. Right? You watch, and the Lakers are a bad example because LeBron is 40 years old. But you watch the Lakers, and LeBron will come out after 4 minutes. And then he'll come back in. That's him conserving his energy. So again,
Giannis too.
SGA as well. SGA comes out and sits down. So when he comes back in, he's playing his ass off. And that's a luxury the Knicks don't have. They have to like pace themselves in a way. And in a game against Boston and Cleveland with that type of dynamic offense, you can't pace yourself because all of a sudden you're playing catch up before you even started.
All right, wow, this is so for those basketball fans, we really did 45 minutes of Knicks. Let's go. There'll be plenty of go. I saw Dexter in the chat. Shout out to Dexter. We we'll get Dexter up on here too on the show. I already spoke to Rami because we're gonna do a Yankee fans, Met fans type thing as well. And speaking of base, I want to get Dexter as well in here to the Knicks chat as well before the season's over. And speaking, what topic you want to do next? Because you guys have the rundown.
Yeah, we are going to switch to baseball. Well, let me say this real quick one more time. Don't forget to subscribe to Uptown Sports TV on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitter, which most people are right now, feel free to jump over to the YouTube chat. Obviously, you can get in the chat, talk to us like our guys, Danny Clark, like our guy, Nostalgia Knicks up there. Dexter Henry was in the chat as well. So jump over to the YouTube and subscribe there. Shout out to Uptown Sports. Shout out our boy Hector. And of course, on Twitter, we got, Anthony Gallo, Pico Day _ Gallo, and my infamous take, TIO Al Cintron with the surprise appearance.
I appreciate you saying Gallo and not Gallo because I say Gallo all the time, but like the whole joke is my last name's Gallo. Like,
so which way are we swinging next? You guys have the rundown.
So I guess, I started the show talking about how we got a lot of negative things to get to. And, let's start with the Mets. And they suffer another injury to the pitching staff this week. And honestly, that's the negative in the spring training so far because a lot of guys look to be performing well. Beatty, Clifford. But, they lose. Yes, that is me. That is the inspiration behind my Twitter. Actually, shout out to my boy Dave McSpadden, who told me that should be my Twitter handle all the way back in like 2009, and it's been that ever since. But the Mets lose Sean Manaea now for I forgot, was it 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, he's not going to pitch the first month of the season.
Right, and I guess that's where we start is how concerned are you with that, or is it just typical spring training, like to be expected? You're going to lose somebody at some point outside of just Frankie Montas.
Better now than in the stretch run. Let's just get the shit out the way now. Baseball players have to be the most fragile motherfuckers in all of sports. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I don't understand it. I mean, go look at the shape the guys were in the 80s, and go look at the guys that are in shape now, and they didn't drop like flies in the 80s the way they drop like flies now. It's a disgrace. I cannot believe it, but it is what it is. Sean Manaea is not going to be available most likely the first month of the season. Okay, fine. Brandon Sproat is pitching tomorrow. I would love to see him dominate. I want to see him put pressure on the organization for the 5th spot. I really do, because everybody says he's not ready. He's not ready. Well, I want to see him continue to thrive in spring training, so he forces their hand. And what better way to have the top pitching prospect in your organization make the roster and kill it? A Matt Harvey type, a Syndergaard type, a DeGrom type. Like this guy, we've heard about him for a couple of years now. So I hope he pitches tomorrow. It's on SNY. I'm looking forward to watching that game as well. But I'd rather better now than late. Montas, we know what was going to happen. That guy will be back whenever the hell he's healthy, and then he probably goes down again. So I'm not like losing my shit like a lot of Met fans are to think this is the end all. The season's over. No, it's March. It's about to be March 1st. Like we still got a whole month, pretty much, of spring training. Can we pump the brakes on that?
Yeah, we lost DeGrom before spring training, and then Scherzer a month into the season and won 100 games. And again, that doesn't mean that they're going to do that this year, but I'm just saying, like, the season's not close to being over. And I don't know. I don't think they're very concerned. Danny Clark just put in the chat. They signed Urena to a minor league deal. I feel like they feel like he's going to be a bullpen option, and that makes me think that they're gearing up if they need to put Tyler McGill in the rotation. And they may trust Sproat to be that guy that fills in. And at that point, now you have your 5 starters again.
Well, don't they want to do a 6-man rotation anyway this year? So
have they correct me if I'm wrong, have they come out and said that, or is that just speculation?
Oh, wait, Evan asked Carlos Mendoza, and I think he said no. I could be wrong. Gallo, you're there. You cut up the tape and stuff, so maybe you would know. I don't mean to put you in that spot, no. But I don't think it's been confirmed. So let me put it that way. I don't think it's been confirmed. Oh, I missed that. I missed it. I got bad information.
he did ask him. I don't remember the answer.
Yeah, that's why I don't remember the answer either.
Because I remember the rumors were when they first brought in Senga 2 years ago that Senga didn't even really care about a 6-man rotation, and the Mets were pushing for that. But that is, that's a different regime. So I don't.
I'm not worried.
I'm really not worried. Like if this was a arm injury, I would have been terrified. It's an oblique injury. Like you said, it's typical soft tissue baseball stuff where, most athletes are out a week and these guys.
Keyword soft. Keyword soft. Baseball players are soft. I'm sorry. I love baseball. These fucking guys drop like flies left and right. It's unbelievable. Go to Yankees camp as well. We'll get into them later. They're dropping like flies as well. It never fails. Better now, especially in April in New York because it's freezing cold and you're trying to pitch in April. Let's get this shit out the way now.
Big time. Now, and listen, with this whole Mets situation right now and the pitching worries, if you will, there's time, right? This team is good enough to weather the storm with mediocre pitching. You do have to hope for mediocre pitching. Like you can't have bad pitching. But I think the big thing that people are saying about the Mets, like, oh, it's a rotation full of threes. That would be kind of a win for the Mets if they had 5 threes, right?
It's
and like
up there for right now.
Yeah, like the high end talent.
Pete, that's funny that you just said that. You said threes, and a notification has popped up on my phone. Steph Curry has 9 threes. But go ahead, continue.
Well, hopefully the Mets have 5 threes in their rotation. Yeah, that'll be an exciting thing. But this David Stearns-led organization is going to look to make this rotation better. If we are all sitting here on WFAN, on TIO Al Friends, on Twitter, knowing exactly what the Mets problem is, you don't think David Stearns knows exactly what the Mets problem is right now? That's his MO. That's his bread and butter. That's what he's known for. Like he is priding himself day in, day out on the pitching staff that he built. So I am going into this season cautiously optimistic with this pitching staff. I think we always say in baseball in prediction season, it's the world of ifs. If this guy pitches to the back of his baseball card, if this guy repeats his career year last year, and that's the case for everybody. Damn sure it's the case for the freaking Yankees lineup, right? So to me, the concern for the Mets rotation is not that dissimilar to the rest of the Yankees lineup. I mean, and when I say the rest, I mean the non-Aaron Judge batters in the lineup because we know he's a freaking dude when it comes to the regular season. The Mets rotation right now, right? You like the caveat? When the Mets rotation right now, like there are good pitchers in there. None of them are phenomenal. None of them are going to be in the Cy Young candidate outside of maybe Senga, which was really a fingers crossed hopeful sentiment anyway. But I do have faith that there's something there that is going to be good enough to keep this offense winning games. Like I'm seeing people who are not Mets fans, not Mets people, ranking the Mets offense as a top dog in the league. So this woe is me Mets fan idea that we have right now, based upon years of history, I'm not subscribing to it. I have faith in this team staying afloat on the pitching side of the ball.
I think confidence is key. I think last year we felt like they felt broken by the Braves catching them in the division, or 2 years ago, by the Braves catching them in the division and then getting smoked in the playoffs. I think confidence is key, especially in this sport, more than any other sport. Like, it's the only sport that year in and year out, you see guys go up and down. And I think it's key. And I know I keep shouting them out. I hate this narrative, too, that Yankee fans have because they're spoiled children and their brains are broken if they lost Soto. Clay Holmes was not a bad pitcher for the Yankees. He gave up 6 runs in 11 games. He gave up 22 runs the entire season. So 16 runs. Outside of the, he pitched, 60-something games last year? So the other 50-something games, he gave up 16 runs. The guy's a good pitcher. He may not be closer material, but that is a lot different. Nobody's Mariano Rivera anymore. And I can tell you this much, if you ask yourself before the season, when I sign up for a closer with a sub-4 ERA, almost every team would do that. There's very few guys who have Devin Williams or Josh Hader type years, and that just it's not the sport anymore. Like Edwin Diaz is a top 3 guy in the league. He's probably going to finish with like a 3 ERA this season. And I'm very excited about the rotation. I like what they've done. And with these injuries, I think all it does is you're going to weed out the end of the rotation. The Blackburns, the Griffin Canings, the McGills, these guys are playing for major league jobs. And then like a Sproat, it gives him a chance to prove himself. And we don't get to miss a guy for the whole year because it's an oblique injury.
Yeah, let's not forget the trade deadline.
Yes.
The Mets will work their magic come the trade deadline. I'm not worried about that. I know people are going to say, well, there'll be a lot more teams in it because of the extra wild card spot. Okay, but there's a lot of shit teams as well in Major League Baseball. And there was at one point, I think there was like only 7 teams above 500 in the National League. It was a crazy number. I always repeated it on the air. But let's talk about the positive. Juan fucking Soto, baby. I mean, my man Juan Soto, first at bat, knocks a home run. I loved every minute of it. I had fun with it. I had Connor Green play the clip at the beginning of the show before I went on the air, and I made a prediction. I said Juan Soto's going to hit 40-plus home runs, and Clay Holmes is going to win 15 games this year.
Well, I like those.
Love
I
it.
like both those. I don't know what the do we have a number on the over-unders? I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, so I actually on this podcast with just Al last week, Gallo, when we were missing you, I mentioned the numbers that I saw on DraftKings, but I made a discovery here, and I don't mean to drag DraftKings through the mud on this podcast like I did on mine earlier this week, but I noticed that DraftKings doesn't exactly have very friendly lines when it comes to futures for players right now, because the way they have it set up, you can only bet on pockets, right? So you can do 15 plus, 20 plus, 25 plus. They don't have lines for every individual player just yet, but FanDuel does. And I got to tell you, these lines are so far from the same. Remember I asked you, Al, about what do you think Mark Viento's line was? And I think you guessed like 27 and a half, 28 and a half, something like that. Maybe that was
they got him at.
You two, Gallo. On DraftKings, he's minus 280 to hit 20 or 30 home runs or something like that. On FanDuel, his line is 27 and a half at minus 110. So DraftKings has some BS going right now. So to all the people looking to take Al's bet about, Juan Soto this many home runs and Clay Holmes this many wins, check different books. Make sure you get yourself the right line and the best line. It's very important.
Yeah, I like both of those, and I feel confident that we're not going to get prolonged slumps out of 7 of the 9 hitters for the first 2 months of the season. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that, last year they struggled early and it ate away at this team. And then, a couple things shook them up and they snapped out of it. Whether, I forget which game it was that I felt like, wow, this is really where Lindor has turned the corner, or this is where Nimmo's turned the corner. And
it was after the team meeting. Lindor went out and went 3 for 4 with a homer. It was right after the team. I don't remember who they played.
I can't remember when that was.
That was the moment. Yeah, that was the moment.
The JD Martinez walk-off. They had moments that you saw a direct turn, and then we forget, he was terrible in August and September, but Nimmo was electric in June and mid-July. Like, so I think we're going to get a lot of that. And I think having a Juan Soto, the way we talk about rotations, like having a stopper, I think the Mets have multiple guys in their lineup now with the emergence of Vientos, the signing of Soto, another year of Alonso finally calming down. Nimmo, they have stoppers in that lineup.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Pete, go ahead.
No, I was actually going to change the subject. So if you want to keep going, keep going.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to it. Are you guys going to be at opening day or?
Ooh, March 27th. Oof.
I will.
No, March 27th. They're playing in Houston. When they come home, for Vladi Dadi, future Met, and the Marlins. So
I'm going to plan on being there. Obviously, work. I could be even working that day at the stadium, which would be awesome because I get in for free then. But no, I plan on being there. Me and my brother, we haven't gotten to go the last 2, but we've bought tickets the last 4 opening days and have gone. I've gone to all 4. He's gone to 2 of them.
Yeah, I plan on being there. I'm not missing Juan Soto's home debut. There's no way in hell I'm missing that. I plan on being there. Plus we have I've been invited for a bunch of years. There's a badass tailgate that my former football teammates throw every year. It's 40 a head, free, that covers food and drinks that they've been pretty much begging me to be at. And this is the year I think I finally show up to that. So maybe, I'll let you guys know the details if you guys want to show up to that as well. Outside in the parking lot, it's like 40, 50 heads and, $40 or $50 for booze and drinking before you enter the game.
That sounds great.
And I know you were getting to this too. It'll be nice to see the start of the Juan Soto takeover at home.
Big time.
And I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited so much for individually. I could go down a lot of the players on the team. Like, I'm just excited to see what they're going to do. And I'm excited to see Pete. Like, I was so down on Pete last year, and for some reason, I'm just excited to see him this year. I'm excited for the only guy I'm not excited for. We all know who it is. I know Al. It's Jeff McNeil. He's the only guy I'm not excited for. And he can win me over. You know, play well, and I'm back on the. I'll wear a squirrel outfit to City Field.
Wait,
I'll dress up like a squirrel at City Field. You guys can find me the lamest.
Wait. What do we do? What's the bet? What's the bet? If he
let's figure out the squirrel bet. Gallo, you put your nuts in your mouth with that one, squirrel.
No, I'll bring nuts with me and eat them the whole game. But I'm telling you right now, I don't know. I don't know how to quantify him being good. Like, I don't want to say he has hit 300 because he could be a good player and not hit 300.
What about OPS? OPS or OPS plus? Like if he had an OPS plus of like 130, is that like
what is
number?
The league average again on OPS?
It's 100.
That's when it's 100 is the average. So like let me look up what he was at last year. So I was just gonna
look it up too.
I'll give it while you look it up. I'll give you a stat line. Ready? 280, 15 home runs, 50 to 60 RBIs, and he plays 130 games.
So you have it in front of you, Gallo?
I have his baseball reference up right now.
Same.
He was a 140 in that's a high number in 2022. So let's say 130 is fine.
But look where he was though, the first 3 years of his career: 138, 143, 130, 87, 87, then 140, 97, 97. So he's been just below average 2 years in a row. If he's at 130 at the All-Star break, I think you got to go to the first home game after the All-Star break in a squirrel costume.
But you guys have to come with me.
Oh, of course. I'm there.
I'm not missing that for the world. I'm not missing that. I don't care if they're playing the Double-A Yankees. I'll be there. I'm not missing that.
And I got to be honest, maybe Al's in competition for this right now. I'm the biggest Jeff McNeil hater, so it would be well deserved. It's not even that bad. I'm in on it. I'm down.
I gotta confess.
Costumes.
Though. No, regular costume. I'm not gonna have you walking around with a G-string. Don't worry about it.
No squirrel girl costumes.
I got your lips all puckered with red lips. Don't worry about it. I used to love.
Bro. Do it for the show.
No, I used to love Jeff McNeil when he first came up. I can't front. The guy was, he played hard. He was killing it. And then his attitude is just not matching his production. It's not worth it. And I got sick of him quick.
I was never like a gigantic fan of his, but I was always in favor of him. And then the year prior to him winning the batting title, I was ready to move on. And when he won the batting title, my boy Waldy, who I'm probably listening right now, me and him said this is the worst thing that could have happened to them because they're going to sign him back and it's going to blow up in our faces. And it's the one thing that scares me about this team is them shoving him in that lineup and his toxicity sinks into everything. And, we'll know if Lindor's not smiling, it's Jeff's fault.
Yes, that when Lindor choked him, that's when it was the beginning of the end for me and McNeil. Because Lindor, no one has a bad thing to say about him. He's so calm and cool. Everybody loves him. For Lindor to put hands on him, that was it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But what we going?
I'm just over here trying to find pictures of people in squirrel costumes.
Well, I don't know if you can click on it. In the private chat, I found a funny squirrel costume.
Oh, boy. Oh, wait. What? So, what? I mean, we'll take a deeper dive. Like I said, we're going to do a all Met fans one, all Yankee fans one. We're going to have some, I'm figuring out some guests right now to join us. And then we'll also do a call-in where Met fans can call in because we've done that before with Heck, where you can call in and join the show and ask a question. So we'll do that when we get closer to opening day. What are we skipping to next? The Yanks?
So let me, Gallo, if you don't mind me, because as a little segue, I'd like to bring this graphic into the fold here because I just think it's a great way to talk about where we're going, right? So we just talked about baseball, we just talked about the Mets, and we didn't really talk much about the Yankees, but they got sprinkled in. But I don't know if you guys saw this graphic going around Twitter earlier this week.
I saw it.
Put out their top 10 quote unquote biggest athletes currently playing in New York, which is such a vague way to make a list, but here we are. And the list reads Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Jalen Brunson, Francisco Lindor, Karl-Anthony Towns. And then you get Neighbors, Sauce Gardner, Devontae Adams, Giancarlo Stanton, and Pete Alonso. What was your initial reaction to this list, Al? Because I have to imagine you have some strong opinions.
Yeah, when I saw Devontae Adams and Gardner on this list, I go, "What are they? They have to be related to these guys in some way." There's no Devontae Adams eighth. The guy barely had a cup of coffee in New York, and he's eighth. Are you fucking shitting me with this list? This is another national list that sucks ass cheeks, and I'm not talking about clean ass cheeks. I'm talking about dirty on the train for 3 weeks without washing your ass cheeks. It's horrible. This list is horrible. Yes, it's horrible. It's horrible. Another list that sucks. So I don't like it. I don't agree with it. The top four, I'm good with, but Brunson needs to be ahead. He needs to be. I know he's third in this list. Baseball hasn't started yet. Right now, he's the king of New York. Right now, when the baseball season starts, and we said a playoff shakeout, but right now Brunson's number one in this list. I'm sorry, Brunson's number one, and that's it.
My initial thought was the best, and outside of maybe Judge and Soto, the best player in New York is Dexter Lawrence. And him not being on this list is a travesty. Like,
we're gonna have a problem, Gallo.
Dude, he is a beast. He is one of the best defensive players in the league. And it's not just this list, it's even in our own market. He's got to be the most under-talked about guy for a dude who's an absolute beast. And for the Jets, like, the fact that you put a guy who had his worst season as a Jet in Sauce Gardner, and Devontae Adams who did nothing.
Oh, he sucked.
And you have Garrett Wilson is more deserving than both those two. Quinn Williams is more deserving than both those guys. Like, there's so many things I hate about it. When I saw the list, I don't know where I'd put him. I'd probably put him 7 through 10. But why is Dexter Lawrence not on the list when he is as good as anyone? I guess you could argue that Judge and Soto are legitimate, like, top 5 guys in their sport. But when you think about defensive players, I'm putting Dexter Lawrence maybe top 5, definitely top 10. Like,
there's another list, Gallo. There's another list that has Lawrence. Go to check BetMGM's Instagram. I think it's BetMGM. They have a top 10 New York list. I've been Bleacher Report. I caught shit for saying Dexter Lawrence doesn't belong on this list. So that's why I said they have the top 10. Lawrence is 9th, and I believe Gardner is 10th, but they're on the bottom of the list. Yeah, Gallo. Yep.
Damn, I don't know, dude. He puts up, like, he's defensively at his position is the best player consistently outside of when Aaron Donald was in the league. Like, he was putting up damn near the same numbers as Aaron Donald. He's just playing on a team that has nobody around him. Like, I don't know. And Quinn Williams is another guy too. They're two of the more underappreciated guys in this market. And another person who should be on that list, the only freaking champion outside of NYC in the city, Sabrina Iniesco, or the WNBA Finals MVP in Jonquel Jones. Like the fact that you put Alonzo in that list, Towns, Sauce Gardner, and Devontae Adams over those two blows my mind.
Did you find it? Is that the one?
Yeah, this is the BetMGM one, which will make you a lot happier because Big Stewie, Breanna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu were both on this list.
Another good one too.
Yeah, they go Igor Shesterkin, which on a couple text threads that I'm on, Igor was one of the question marks as well. But then again, we're going to a list in Fox Sports that doesn't mean anything because they're just saying biggest. Like, what are you talking about? Just the most famous? Because then guess what? Aaron Rodgers hasn't been moved yet. Put him at number 1. Like, what are we doing here? If we're talking about the most famous, it's a meaningless conversation. But at the same time, then Devontae Adams should probably be number 2 because he's probably more famous than anybody. So what does this list even mean when we're talking about Fox Sports? So that's like, I knew it was going to get us fired up, which is why I brought it up. But
what is that? I can't see it because it's so tiny, the list. Pete, can you read that list? Because I'm on my phone. I can't. It's like really, really tiny to me.
Yeah, I'll read it for you. This BetMGM, they just ranked it as top 10, which makes a lot more sense. And you can make more arguments that actually have meaning. Aaron Judge, Jalen Brunson, Juan Soto, Breanna Stewart, Francisco Lindor, Karl-Anthony Towns, Igor Shesterkin, Sabrina Ionescu, Dexter Lawrence, and still somehow Ahmed Gardner.
Get the fuck out of here, baseball. That guy's on the list. He's not even honorable mention. Get the fuck out of here with that guy, man. I'm so sick of that guy.
Also, he was like a top 100 player on the NFL list, and I was like, I don't even know if he's the best defensive back on his team. DJ Reed was so much better than him last year.
Yeah,
it's the hype, and it's because he has a stupid nickname please. I don't know who I hate more or I dislike more, Gardner or Jeff McNeil. It's really right there. I really can't stand neither of them. Both the headache is not worth what you're getting on the field or on the baseball diamond. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think the top 3 on that one was way more fair because I would put Soto behind Judge and Brunson because they've been here longer. and they
Yep.
feel more, especially Judge, they feel more ingrained in the city. Like, and even if they wanted to put Lindor ahead of him just because of where Lindor is ingrained in the city, but he will obviously be on top of that list for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That second list was way better. I could live with the Sauce Gardner stuff. That second list was way better. Like Stanton and Alonso, I like both of them a lot. I really like.
Wait, Stanton's on that list?
No, he was
He's on the first list.
I couldn't see it because he's on that.
He was on the biggest, the quote unquote biggest athletes in New York City list. Because to me, it's like, all right, if we're gonna do that, can we do the 10 most meaningful athletes or the 10 most important athletes? Because then you can
let's do that now. Let's do that now.
Oh, perfect. Because then, and I'll say this as I start to make my list here, then you can make the argument that Jalen Brunson could be number one, not because he's better than Judge, because Mets fans and Yankee fans are all Knicks fans.
Yeah.
Generally. Right. So you could make the argument that the most important athlete to the overall New York City, tri-state area, whatever it is, New York sport fans, Brunson could be number one. But
that's why I said.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say if we're going with the most important New York athletes right now, I'd go Brunson, Judge, Soto, Lindor, and then to go number 5, I think you have to go Cat. I think you have to go Cat there. And Garrett Cole also getting no love on this list.
Yes. I didn't even think of that. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cole should be over Gardner. Sorry. If you're going to do that, Cole should be 10 over Gardner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess it probably Judge, Brunson, Lindor, and then if we're going important, because this is not the best player on that team, I will put Sabrina because she's a champion. And I know it's different. Like, it's not as pop. It's probably outside of the MLS, the least popular sport in the city, but she's a champion. It's a growing sport. And then, honestly, like, if we're talking talent, it's a different story because I could find a way to put Malik Neighbors in that top 5.
Yeah.
But I guess I would round it out with Soto then at the end of that.
Well, I put Brunson 1 because he revitalized and changed the fortunes of a dead franchise. The Knicks were a dead franchise. I know Julius Randle started this, but Jalen Brunson took it to the next level and brought credibility to the Knicks and brought life back to Madison Square Garden. So I put him 1. Judge 2. I put Lindor 3. Because he's put in the work in New York. I put Soto 4. And then 5, Gallo, I'm going to show your girl Sabrina love. I'm going to put her 5th.
Yeah, because obviously we're going importance, and she's the most popular player on that team. Obviously, Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart.
Right.
You know, also, if we're going importance, there's another champion that we could put on that list, and everyone's going to laugh at me. You know, Maxi Morales, been with NYCFC a long time. Has a ring. Maxi Morales. But no, seriously, I will say this. Even though I disagree with you guys for number 1, the guy who, if you took the two of them, Judge and Brunson, they both win a ring. Brunson's going to be the bigger talk of the town because the Knicks haven't been there in a long time.
Yep.
Most Knicks fans haven't even sniffed the finals. And for Judge, it would be like almost expected. Like, and that's obviously it's unfair to him, but it would almost be expected because of the kind of player he is. Him being a top 5, legitimate top 5, top 3 player almost hurts him. Where like Brunson, he's our guy. Like he's the guy that we have to argue with our friends about because the sport is so, he puts up MJ numbers in the playoffs. Like he's undersized, he's tough. He took less money to stay here. And I think that would play into it, whereas Judge would have to win like 1 or 2 rings to even be put into a upper echelon to his own fan base.
Now, let me ask you this. If the Knicks win a championship and the Mets win a championship, who's number 1, Lindor or Brunson?
Brunson. And the Mets are my bigger team in life, but it would be Brunson.
I agree.
If Jalen Brunson wins a title for the New York Knicks, they are going to put a statue of him next to the freaking Statue of Liberty.
I'll be there helping. I'll help build it.
We can just tip the Statue of Liberty over and make the statue of Brunson.
Yes.
Oh, I have the wrong page up here. Hold on. I got this picture right here of Jalen Brunson. It's going to be the statue. When he wins the championship for the Knicks right now, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see this right next to the old.
I love that you said when. I love when you said when. Love it.
Look at that.
Yes. Yes.
If Judge wins a championship for the Yankees. What, he's gonna get his little face in Monument Park? Who cares? Brunson's gonna get this statue on top of Madison Square Garden. It's gonna be incredible.
It's a no-fly zone, so now they don't even worry about planes flying over. No, and to be fair, a lot of what would hurt Judge is his own fan base. We saw what happened with A-Rod. A-Rod was their best player for like 7 years, and they wouldn't give him any credit. Judge would win, and then everyone would be like, all right, well, Jeter won this many. Mantle won this many. DiMaggio
it's so stupid.
And then you'd have the 50 to like 57-year-olds who'd be like, well, Don Mattingly never had the team he had. Like, it would be a totally different, that is it's like the Lakers. Like, how you could have that argument that, like, about, I've heard Laker fans argue about where does Kobe sit in Laker fandom. Like, it would be just like that. Like, he would have so much held against him that his own fan base was doing to him. Whereas Brunson, we party when they win one playoff series. Like, and it's a more unified city, like, when the Knicks are good. And I think that's what would play into it. And he wouldn't even have to be the best player in the finals, too. Like, and I also think, shout out to Al for saying it about Randall. Also, Derrick Rose. We forget about the role that Derrick Rose played in the resurgence of the Knicks, because Randall was balling. When they brought in Rose that first year, that's when they took off. And it was Randall had someone to play with, and they had that master splinter type to carry them into the next step of being a consistent playoff team.
You know how like Vince Carter's getting his jersey retired with like the Nets right now?
Yeah.
Like, I almost want to retire Derrick Rose's jersey, man. Like, I'm kidding, kind of. But, like, the impact that he had on a generation of people in, like, that short amount of time, and then for him to battle through the insane injuries that he dealt with to still mean that much to a team like the Knicks in that moment, it means something to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was special stuff out of Derrick Rose. And the way they spoke about him, like, he literally, what'd you call him as the wise
Master Splinter?
Master Splinter, bro. For real. That's what it was. It was special stuff.
My favorite meme was, it's the Master Splinter meme when the Turtles, I'm a Ninja Turtles fanatic, so this is my alley. It's the Turtles are kids, Master Splinter's walking with them, and then it's the Turtles are older and they're walking old Master Splinter down the aisle. And that was a meme that came out in Rose's last year when he kept getting the Derrick Rose chance at the end of games to come in. I remember in that Hawks series, he was the only guy who played well. I remember being there for game 5, almost at tears, looking at Rose walk off the court dejected, be like, thanks, dude. Thanks for a great season. Like, thank you so much.
I remember it.
And this is a guy who had a terrible first stint with the Knicks, where I went from him being one of my favorite players to being like, get this guy away from me. And the 180 he did was, very few guys have that level of, Edwin Diaz has done it. Julius Randle has done it, like, where they've gone from being hated to loved. And, Derrick Rose is one of those guys too.
I agree. And I think it's time to move on to football, though. I think that's great stuff. That list brought all the love and joy and fun banter that I had hoped it would.
Oh, I'll get into it on my show. I'm sure Gallo will dive into that because he's got his soccer guys that he loves. He wants to show them love on the air. And Sabrina and Wally Khan. What's the lady's name? The other one?
Jonquel Jones or Breonna Stewart?
Oh, who's John? What's the name?
Which one? Who are we talking about?
You said Paul Jones?
Jonquel Jones.
Oh, I think you said Paul Jones. Yeah, I thought you said Paul Jones, bro.
Yeah,
and Juana Man.
Vegas is giving out free money. Yeah, I want to say one thing too on the betting front. Vegas is giving out free money. Don't buy the Caitlin Clark hype. She's won squat. And they're making the Fever the favorites in that, the Aces and the Liberty. You get better odds, better money. I'm telling you right now, it's easy money.
Who did Kelsey Plum get traded to?
I love Caitlin Clark. Sparks.
They're not that
Sparks. Okay. And you just wait till my girl Juju Watkins enters WNBA in 2 years. She's about to go nuclear. People don't even know yet about what Juju Watkins is about to do. Carrying a team in the
Juju,
dude, as a true freshman last year, playing the way she did without much help, and this year she's been having some massive games. Big fan of that.
But
oh man,
to football.
Onto the football front real quick. Oh, there it is. The Aaron Rodgers drama. Aaron Glenn came out. He said he's sick and tired. He is disrespectful to the players in the locker room. You had to answer the questions though, Aaron, and it's over with. And not Rodgers, Glenn. And what is it? It's Muji, right? Not Moogie. Darren Muji. They answer the questions. You know, the Aaron Rodgers stuff is over. The Aaron Rodgers era is over. Thank God. I talked about this yesterday nationally, and it is a hot topic nationally, Aaron Rodgers, because that's when I started getting phone calls when I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. But it's over and done with. The Jets are moving on. What direction do you think the Jets go in the draft? That's what I want to talk about. Do you think if Shador's sitting there at 7, do they take him? Do they move up in the draft to take Cleveland's spot? Maybe make a push for number 1 and get Cam Ward, because I think that's what they really want. What do the Jets do when it comes to this draft?
Right now, anything is possible. I think that they're going to end up just missing out on one of these quarterbacks, and I don't really know which way they go. I've actually seen one that I think would be a good pick for them if they're going to go the veteran quarterback route. If Ty Warren keeps flying up the board like that, they desperately need a tight end. And if Adams does come back, you now have 3 skill position guys in Warren, Adams, and
he's gone. He's gone.
It's the 100%.
Yeah, he's going to be gone.
Well, like I'm just even not so, like, you add another weapon for whoever your quarterback is this year, and your eventual young QB or whatever guy you bring in. And I mean, Ty Warren, he looks like he's going to be a beast, and he's one of these guys that I expect to fly up the board. So whether they take them where they're at now or they trade back, like, that would be the way I would go. I really don't know which way they go if one of these quarterbacks slides. Does it slide? I mean.
And the quarterback sliding conversation is so interesting to me because it's coming out, but I do feel like this is normal process, right? Mm-hmm. And I've heard all the guys, all the draft whizzes who are saying, you know, none of these 2 quarterbacks would be in the top 4 from last year's class and this and that. I get that, and I hear your take, but I just don't buy it to be truth yet. I would be like utterly shocked if Shador Sanders makes it to 7. Where the Jets are. I don't see it happening. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm praying for it because I'll take him in a heartbeat if I'm a Jets fan, just as I would if the Giants are on the board and he's there at 3, I would want them to take him. But people are talking, Gallo, that they think that he's going to slide. Do you think that's realistic? Like, no. I know they're talking about it, but we're a month out.
You know what that makes me say? It sounds like the Patriots and the Jags were like, oh, I heard he's going to slide. You know, if you want to trade up, you know, you might have to do it now. I think the Titans are going to end up taking a quarterback. I think it's posturing by them. I think they're going to take a quarterback. I don't know which one. And I think the Giants are going to get the second one. I don't think the Browns are going to take a quarterback. I think with the Myles Garrett stuff, they realize, like, there's more problems there. And they might just run it back with a vet QB. And they reworked Deshaun Watson's contract. They may view next year's draft as the year that they get the quarterback. But I definitely think top 3, both these guys are going.
Yeah, it's just – go ahead. I thought you were gone.
Oh, yeah. No. I think – Shador Sanders, there's a real possibility he slips in the draft. Matt Stafford, I don't know if you saw, it came out that the Raiders and Stafford have a contract. They've worked out the framework of a contract. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, that they've worked out the framework of a contract.
Yes.
Yes. So now it's up to see if the trade can get pulled off. So that takes them out of the quarterback running if Stafford goes to the Raiders. And Shador, I think, and I told Evan this maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. I said, don't be surprised if Sanders is sitting there for you, and the Jets better take him. And that'll be an early Christmas gift to the Jets. Because to me, I'm sick of the hate. I've said it numerous times. If his name was Shador Smith, we wouldn't have all this hate. But since his last name is Sanders and his father's Deion Sanders, that's what the hate's coming from. Shador Sanders is as tough as they come. I've watched numerous Colorado games. I saw him take a fucking beating and keep on going, throwing the ball down the field, standing in the pocket, taking. That's what you want from a young quarterback. I should know. Jaden Daniels on my team, he stands in the pocket, he doesn't care, and he throws the ball right down the field. He'll take a shot. That's what you want from a young quarterback. You don't want somebody who's flinching back there and scared. If he's sitting there at 7, which I think is a strong possibility is going to be, if the Jets pass on him, they're going to regret it.
I agree too. I don't think he'll be there, but I agree. I 100% agree. I also think this notion that they want to be top 4, like, everyone I killed the Broncos for taking Bo Nix. No one thought he was going to be that good. Like, everyone thought Caleb Williams was a lock to be this great quarterback. I think that's asinine. And then next year, we'll say Cam Ward and Shador Sanders would be the top 2 picks in this draft. Like, right. It's all hearsay. I hate Justin Herbert, but not for nothing. They crushed him in that draft, and The only guy who said he was going to be good was Tannenbaum, and we laughed at him. And then it was like, joke's on you. He was kind of right. Like, and there's so many instances where you get guys who skyrocket up the board. They praise the fucking Vikings for taking J.J. McCarthy. And J.J. McCarthy, we don't even know if he's going to be good. I wasn't a fan of him before the injury, and now he's coming off a major injury. Like
Anthony Richardson, Gallo went 4. And Anthony Richardson went 4. Shador Sanders and Cam Ward are more polished at quarterback than fucking Anthony Richardson. That's ridiculous.
Sam Darnold went 3.
Josh Rosen.
Like
my hero, Josh Rosen.
Zach Wilson, as Chris Sims said, is got Patrick Mahomes type talent. You know,
wait, he said that?
Yeah, dude, Chris Sims, worst quarterback evaluator.
My God.
Overrated dude when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks.
Oh my God, I didn't know he said that.
He said something along that lines where he compared him to Pat Mahomes, and it was like, dude, stop it.
That's bad. That's bad.
Lamar Jackson was the 30th overall pick.
I talked about that yesterday, and I talked about that this morning. Lamar Jackson was barely sniffed the first round, and he won a Heisman Trophy and fucking killed it in college football. Like, it's stop it.
And these guys are Cam Ward his body is built for the NFL. Shador Sanders, his mind is built for the NFL, and they both have the arm talent. Like, it's a no-brainer. Go get them. Deion's going to be worried about the Buffaloes, and even if he wasn't, he's been here before. He's not going to interject himself into a grown man's business, that grown man being his son. LeVar Ball does not inject himself into LaMelo Ball's business. Yes, he does business stuff for them and does promotion. He's not affecting their NBA careers. Like, so this notion that guys like this are going to be like, it's so dumb at this level. Like, you know, Eli Apple's the only person I could genuinely think of that his family had like a really poor impact on his career.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's crazy. And at the end of the day, I'm always going to bet on quarterbacks going earlier. Like, yes, is on the big board, is Travis Hunter ahead? Is Abdul Carter ahead, who might need surgery before the season starts? Is Mason Graham and Will Campbell, or all these guys more surefire bets? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Tell me that 100 times a day. I don't care. The quarterbacks are going to go early. Like, it's just how it rolls. I know we've had like a few outlier years where there weren't a lot of quarterbacks, but when there are only 2 who are the clear top 2, they're going to go early. And no matter who it might be, like, someone's going to want them. And unless the whole league is winking at each other that they're not going for it, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to bite. We see franchise in the NFL make bad decisions constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think they're going to try to make a bad decision on this? Like, or I shouldn't say try, but you don't think they're going to pull the trigger on this? Of course they are. They're going to see their quarterback room, which the Giants is currently 0, not one quarterback in the room right now. They're going to take a swing if he's there. And I think as a Giants fan, I finally feel like this is a win-win draft situation for the New York Giants because, you know, you look at what they have as an option, either Cam and Shador go 1-2 and they have Travis Hunter on their team, or you get one of them. Win-win. Sign me up. I can't wait for the NFL draft as a Giants fan because I'm going to be happy and talking myself into whichever prospect they get, which you can't say every year.
Well, Pete, do you trust that Joe Shane is going to get this right? That's the question.
Yeah, I do trust Joe Shane that he's going to get this right because he drafted his ass off last year. This guy read talent fantastically last year. I mean, almost every pick you could look at as a positive from Joe Shane. So, yeah, I do have faith in him.
And like this notion that Gettleman's all the good players on the roster from Gettleman. Also, the reason why they couldn't improve this roster the last 2 years is because of Gettleman. Like, and the reason why they couldn't retain Saquon is because of Gettleman. So, like, I think they've had their hands tied behind their back. Now, I do think it's tough. Like, if I was the Giants, I would have given them a reassurance of another year. So you're not just sitting here and now they have to make haste moves. Like, I think Stafford would be a disaster for them. And like, as much as, you know, Damian Woody's saying I wouldn't go to New York if I was Stafford, I wouldn't. And I also wouldn't chase Stafford if I was the Giants. Like, they have to build this thing right. And they can win by going after a young quarterback. They can win by adding other guys. Also, if they really are desperate for a veteran quarterback with a name, go after Rodgers then, who's going to cost you nothing on the cap and no assets.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Abdul Carter is not going to have surgery. That came out early.
Okay.
No, it came out earlier today. He's gonna have his pro day. So, and he's confident he's going to kill it to be the number one pick. I think Travis Hunter is going to be the number one pick. I don't think Tennessee's going to, they're not going to pass on him. I think he's the best player in this draft. He's the unicorn. Especially, I love this comments today. He's going to play both sides of the ball. The way he did in college, that's what he's saying now. We'll see how that goes. I don't think he plays as many snaps, 80% plus like he did in college. But to me, he's the best player in this draft. And then we'll see what Cleveland does. Does Cleveland say, you know what? We can get a boatload of picks to build this team. Do we trade out of this and let one of these teams that are desperate for a quarterback jump in front of us? The Giants could end up going from 3-2, so they can get the quarterback they want and get something from Cleveland. The Jets might jump up to get what they want. So that number 2, Cleveland, to me, is the wild card in this draft, depending on what they do in the direction they go.
And I gotta add, like, this might be our New York bias showing, but I don't think any of us are hiding where we're from. We're New Yorkers. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, or Travis Hunter will be probably on the Titans or Browns. Like, that sucks for the NFL. Who wants to go see Travis Hunter play for the Titans? They suck. They're a travesty of a franchise right now. The Cleveland Browns are a travesty of a franchise right now. They were good a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. They had a lot of talent, but right now they're a disaster. And
they have a really good coach, though, Pete. Their coach is really good. The organization as a whole sucks.
Though. What are they going to do? What are they going to do at quarterback? So, like, hopefully they honestly, as a non-Giants fan talking here, just like as an NFL fan, I hope that they take a quarterback because they need to get the hell out of the Deshaun Watson business. We need to stop seeing him on our TV screens. And maybe with a new quarterback, if they get Cam Ward or something like that, we can at least have something to look forward to over there. Because right now it's a mess watching Myles Garrett play his ass off for nothing. Right. And like Travis Hunter's going to go to one of these teams and play on a shit team. Like, who wants to see that?
The cap hit is $72 million for Deshaun Watson.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this much. And you said it earlier about how everyone said they could do it like Washington did to get to where they were. I think a lot of teams are going to see what the Broncos did this year and think they could eat these cap. And it's going to be if they can compete the next year. And the Broncos kind of got not lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but like they clearly was a plan that they executed, and they also took it on the chin. Like I don't think they expected to be good this year, and I think that's what the Browns are going to try and do. And it's the only way to get out of that contract and not completely screw themselves for 3-4 years. And to be honest, I don't want either of these quarterbacks going to any one of the top 10 outside of the Raiders. And I don't even know if the Raiders are good. It's just that I trust Pete Carroll with a young quarterback more than I trust anyone else. I don't think, as much as everybody loves Vrabel, like I don't think Vrabel's this amazing coach. He's certainly not a quarterback whisperer. Like we don't know if he's actually a good coach if he doesn't have a stacked defense and if Derrick Henry's not carrying his offense. So like, and it's not to like crap on him. It's just like, I don't know if any of these guys are going to end up in a good position. And I think that look at where Jaden Daniels went. Look at where, Bo Nix, I thought it was a mistake, but that ended up being a good situation for him. They had a great offensive line. Washington was ready to compete this year. Like, I don't think a lot of these guys are going to be slotted into that area, although there are people who believe that Cleveland was better than what they were last year. It was just Deshaun Watson was so bad that they weren't able to, get the wins early on because they won a few games late that were shocking. But with that, if Myles Garrett's gone, that's a terrible situation because he's going to get no help defensively. And I agree with you marketing wise, but I don't want them playing for the Jets or the Giants either. Like, I think Daboll's great, but right now, neither franchise has really given me confidence they're going to be good.
If they trade Myles Garrett, Abdul Carter's going to Cleveland. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be Hunter 1, Carter 2, and then the Giants going to have to pick it a little which quarterback they want if that's the direction they go. That's it.
One team to watch, and I don't know what their draft capital is, but I've been saying it for a while. If one of these quarterbacks drops to where the Raiders are, don't be shocked if the Niners blow up their draft capital to go get a quarterback, one of these two guys. Because if they do that, they're scary because now they can keep their entire roster in check while these guys go through their rookie contracts.
Yeah. Well, they're trading Deebo Samuel. John Lynch came out yesterday and said that they would love to keep him, but Deebo's going to be gone next year. They gave him permission to seek a trade, so he's going to be gone next year. The other thing I'll say about the Vegas Raiders is Stafford to the Raiders. Cooper Kupp's going to go with him to Vegas.
I agree. Depending on which team trades for him, I think that's probably what's going to happen, and the Raiders can do that.
Yeah, because they have shitload of cap space, so that's gonna. And now you have, and they have the Raiders taking Gentry at 6. So now you have Gentry at running back, Cooper Kupp, Brock Bowers, and Matthew Stafford. And now they spend the rest of their cap money to try to upgrade their defense. You have Mason Crosby there. Is it Mason or Max Crosby? Sorry, I think I screwed up. Max Crosby, yeah. And now the Raiders in the probably will be in the toughest division in football, the AFC West.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they also, could take Gentry and still trade down and get Gentry. Now, I hope that doesn't happen because I kind of hope he falls to 20, which I don't think it's going to happen.
He's not. He's going to be top 10.
Yeah, which sucks because that's like the perfect need. Him and Ty Warren are the two guys I want the most for the Broncos, and they're not going to get either. But Loveland will probably be the guy they get at the end of that first round. But that's how I feel like it plays out. And then I don't know what the Giants do if the quarterback's not there, or I guess if the quarterback's not there, I guess they'll go Travis Hunter, or maybe they trade out of the pick.
That's why it's a win-win for the Giants. You're either getting a quarterback or you're getting Travis Hunter.
And the Jets will. Do we agree? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. The Jets will probably take. I don't know who is it. Is it Will Campbell? Whoever the best.
Him or Mason Graham, I think, are the two top offensive linemen right now.
Would you think that those? Well, Mason Graham, I thought was a D lineman.
Defense. Mason Graham's defensive tackle.
Oh, who am I thinking of?
I gotta look it up.
I'll look it up.
I got a mock draft up. So it's Will Campbell. They actually have Will Campbell go to the Jets. Kelvin Banks. I don't know who that is. I gotta be honest. But I think that Campbell is probably the pick the Jets go with if they end up with if there's no, none of the big guys are there at 7.
No, for the Jets. I'm sorry, I know you mentioned the Jets. I think when it comes to the Jets, like I said, there's a possibility they move up to try to get their quarterback, and nothing's going to really happen until the draft day. None of these trades are going to happen until draft day. So I expect the draft to be hot and heavy, and I think it's going to be fun to watch. If you're a New York fan, you have a top 10 pick, and it's going to be a fun draft to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be hella action.
Yeah. All right, so we did. Wow, this is the longest we've gone. So shout out to everybody for hanging with us this whole time. I'm going to try to get some rest before my show at 2 to 6 a.m. on the Infinity Sports Network, 855. 855-212-4227. And then I'm on the Fan after Nets pregame Saturday night until, is it 1, Gallo?
2 o'clock.
Till 2, and then Gallo follows me, so you can check me out there. You guys got anything to plug?
Check in 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Sunday. Always follow the socials, Pico Day _Gallo on X, and Pico Day Gallo 24 on IG. I just threw up some new content on my YouTube. It's just official Anthony Gallo on YouTube. Lame name, but that's where we're at. That's what I got to plug.
And for me, at P Kennedy with 2 Y's, also Subway Sports Talk. It's right behind me right here. You can hit that on all the socials on your podcast app or on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, after you finish this video, click on Subway Sports Talk. What's up?
And real quick, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow
Uptown Sports
TV. Yes, sir. And we have, like I said, I should have more information next week. Working on the all Mets one and then an all Yankees one. So Yankee fans, you can stop getting your panties in a bunch. We'll get it together. We'll have your Yankees and Mets one, and we're planning something for the Subway Series. Do something for the stadium, both stadiums. So hopefully we can pull that one off as well.
Hell yeah! And one more thing to say as well.
Congrats to your Cox.
Hell yeah! Shout out Joey Mack.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week, and as always,
wash yes.